Hey everybody, so today we're going to be doing an alignment using rear shims. This is a solid axle rear car. The rear toe was significantly out. It needs to be addressed, otherwise the vehicle is going to have some major tire wear issues. So these are the type of solid shims that go between the solid axle and the spindle. The product we use is the EZ Shim. They're made by a couple different companies. And this is really a nice product because it does adjust camber and toe at the exact same time with one adjustment. It takes a little bit of work, but we'll show you how to figure out which combination and rotation you need to put these on and how to go about getting these installed in your car so you get it right the first try. Okay, so here's our before specs on the alignment. As you can see, left rear toe is significantly out. Right rear toe is in the red, it's out a little bit. Rear camber isn't the worst thing ever, but if we have to shim it, we might as well make everything perfect. It's the same shim to do camber and toe. One shim will adjust both at the exact same time. So this is a picture printed out from the alignment machine. This is vehicle specific. This is the axle beam and the spindle. You can see how it's bolted on. They give you the bolt torques for every component during the job, which is very convenient. So to adjust this, we know what our numbers are, and we know we need to place a shim between the axle beam and the spindle to hold that spindle at the proper alignment for camber and toe. So how we're going to accomplish that is with one of these shims. So we have a Hunter alignment machine, and the Hunter is a very nice option where it gives you an actual printout and tells you every last thing you need to do. It even gives you the part number for all the different brand manufacturers for these shims. We use Napa for just about everything, so the Napa is the EZ Red brand and the part number. And this is a picture of the actual shim with the correct alignment for this specific vehicle. So this is the left rear, right rear. It gives you your before specs and what your after specs are going to be. It will get it as perfect to factory specs as possible, before and after, for the left rear. So here's the neat part. They tell you exactly what to do. See this 12/36, 31/7. What that means is on these shims, might not be able to tell, but on these outside tabs, there's a numerical series, and on the inside, there is numbers. These rotate, okay? So for this side, left rear, we want to put 12/36. So you find the 12, which is right there. You rotate this till the 36 is lined up with the 12 right there. Line them up perfectly. So 12/36, just like that. So here's the beautiful thing with the Hunter machine. I'm not sure if other machines have this option, but these grade in areas are the areas that you need to cut out in order to put this on the vehicle. These are pass-through bolts for the hardware, the brake lines, ABS sensors. You need to notch all these out. So we're going to take a Sharpie and we're going to put this right on here. We're going to line up the 12 and the 36 is our top dead center. Line up 12 and 36, rotate that just like that. And all these grade areas, we need to color in with a Sharpie marker. And we're going to nip out all these sections. Do not cut out past the ring, only cut out the shaded in area. If you cut the ring, it won't hold the shim together anymore. So only cut the grade areas, don't cut completely through. Get these marked, both left and right. Make both sides. Get the vehicle ready for installation. Now you will notice on the left rear, it says, install with numbers facing inside. On the right rear, install with numbers facing outside. That's very, very important to make sure you do that correctly. So you line up your 12 and 36, and then you put 12 and 36 at the top. Cut out the areas. For this side, numbers are facing inside, so the numbers are only on here. It's going to go like this on the inside of the vehicle. Right side, line up 31 and 7 for our situation. The 31 and 7 is on the top. Nip out the grayed areas. For this side, it gets installed with the numbers facing out. Out being facing the wheel, not facing the center line of the vehicle. Now, if you are not lucky enough to have an alignment machine that tells you these numbers and tells you where to do this, these shims come with this ridiculous chart. But if you have your alignment numbers from your machine, you know what your current numbers are, you know what your numbers need to be, and you know how much of an adjustment you need for one or the other. You can come over to this chart, figure out how much of a camber change you need, how much of a toe change you need, and come in and it'll tell you what your numbers need to be. For example, 34 over 21, or 36 over 6, or 7 over 3. Then it's going to be up to you to determine where you need to nip stuff out in order to allow bolts to pass through, brake lines to pass through, and all that. What doesn't change is, for the one side, it's always going to be numbers facing inside on the left, numbers facing outside on the right. And once you have it, always make sure when you install it on the car, the numbers that you lined up, that's what faces top. That is your top center. Once you have your shim installed between these and you're ready to bolt the spindle back, sandwiching the shim on the inside, you need to know the correct torque spec. For using these shims, they want you to use the factory torque specs plus 15%. They also want you to start by tightening the bolt that's closest to the thinnest area of the shim and then working your way in an X pattern from that point. So my mechanic has already pulled apart the drum, and he took the bearing off, has the brakes loose, and now we have access to the spindle. These 4 bolts pass through the backing plate and the brakes and hold it on. There's one more bolt here that will let the spindle come off, and the ABS sensor is right here that passes through as well, because the shim needs to go between the beam and the spindle so it holds the actual spindle at the right pitch. So on the left rear, we want 12 over 36. 12 is the number on the outside. There's 12. Rotate this inner ring. It was pretty close already from messing with it earlier. 12 over 36. 12 over 36. 12 over 36. It's pretty easy to tell when they are lined up. You can almost see those holes that the light comes through. When you see the light coming through, you know top and bottom are lined up. Also, if you look down in here, you can tell when they're lined up or not. The top teeth, bottom teeth. 12 over 36. That is lined up. I'm just going to mark this 12. It's kind of hard to see with the glare on it, so I'm going to mark it with the black, so I know that when I lay it on here, I always want it to be right there. That line is off the drawing. So 12 over 36. You can see how nicely this lines up. We have this tooth to this tooth. Everything in between there needs to come out. Okay, then these two need to come out of there. These two. And so on. I've got this all colored in. I've got my 12 over 36 lined up. just so I know this doesn't get clocked, I'm going to mark that so I know nothing moves on me. Started cutting this out. I cut that section out there. I'm going to continue cutting these out. You're going to want to cut this with a box cutter. They do make special cutters for this specific product made by the same company. These rings are very brittle. If you try to cut this with a pair of dikes, the wedging action of the dikes will crack it all the way through. If that happens, it's not the absolute end of the world, but if it happens twice, your part's going to be in two separate pieces. That's an issue. So with a box cutter, let me get my diagram out of the way. Get inside the center there and just push right down. It goes through rather easy with a sharp knife. I like to cut them out one finger at a time. I try not to just do the edges and cut it out as a group. I've had them split on me for the same reason. If you try to take too much out at a time. So cut each finger out. The section you're taking apart, chop this blade through so that each section is individualized. It cuts fairly easy. It really doesn't take that much force. And once you get each section separated, you can grab them, top layer, bottom layer. Try to break them apart one piece at a time because they will break. So they knock out of there just like that. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these out of there and then show you what it looks like. Now something I like to do is after you cut a section out, put about 2 wraps of electrical tape around this to hold this together because it starts getting really flimsy. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, isn't that electrical tape like adding thickness? I'm going to mess up the shim. And no, these areas here are significantly thicker than this outer ring. So if you only tape where you cut it apart, this is still way proud of this tape here, and on the same as the backside. If your alignment machine doesn't tell you what part number to order, you can go on the website for specialty products. I'll leave a link in the description. If you go on their website, they have a chart that will tell you for your vehicle what kit you want depending on how much adjustment you're trying to accomplish. And then you can take that part number and go to your local auto parts store, and they should be able to either supply you with that exact part number or convert it over to their brand. There's our shim for the left rear. So here's our original picture from the machine. Here's our top to the center mark. Line that up. And as you can see, we have cut out all of the shadowed sections. We wrapped a little bit of electrical tape around the cutouts to give this thing some strength, especially sections like this where there's a lot of stuff missing. This gets really flimsy. Now, I don't need to worry about it. So, I need to do the same thing for the other side, and then we'll go back over to the car and start reassembly. Boom. We're going to take out from there to there. This one and that one. That one and that one. These 3. These 2 and these 2. We took a sanding disc and made sure that this surface was nice and clean, as well as the surface on the back of the spindle itself. So on this side, numbers facing out. Here's our numbers facing out. Get the camera set up here. So you can see that was our top dead center mark, and that is right at the top. You can see it's notched out for the wheel cylinder, the ABS, the holes, and the mounting hole for the spindle. So that's going to get sandwiched behind. If I can get that to line up, would help. Okay, right there. So that's going to get sandwiched behind there, like so. So what I'm going to do is, I can't put these bolts in yet until the backing plate is on, but I am going to start these bolts in order to make sure I have this rotated correctly, and then I'm going to put this bolt in and tighten it down. Then we can reassemble the backing plate, torque these bolts to factory spec plus 15%, and then reassemble the entire vehicle. I'm going to get some of this stuff installed, and then we'll get right back to filming. Okay, we have the car all back together and back on the table. We mounted the heads back to the wheels. Let's compensate the machine and see how we made out. As you can see, that left rear toe that was way out in the red at 0.4 is now within factory spec, as well as the camber. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helps you out. Please like and subscribe.